All right, it's about time I did this. It's about time I answer questions from the community. First question. The beta version is around the corner. Could you explain what functionalities it will have and what else is planned in the future? We have everything built, but the financing section, which is the minting NFTs function. So that will be built after beta. But right now what we focused on is distribution. And the reason we focused on distribution is because there's a lot more content out there right now than there is liquidity to finance films and different projects. So we concentrated on distribution. What we've built is the full streaming service, NFT gating, peer-to-peer payments for rentals. From the DAO's perspective, we have staking, we have governance, we have film voting for distribution. We have portfolio managers, we have studio managers, tracking views, undistributing, redistributing different films, different pieces of content. And the way we're going to roll it out is in a tiered system. So we're probably going to start with staking and governance, then down to the studio section, then up to the portfolio section, and then roll out the actual streaming service itself. So it's a tiered rollout of the platform. The second question is, what can we say about the marketing strategy? We've had a lot of time to think about this. And what I can say is we have curated an extensive list of people who are going to come in and test first. Once they test and distribute to their internal networks, then we start inviting those who are on the wait list. And what we're going to do then from after the wait list is start rolling it out to the general public. And in the middle of doing all that, we're going to be doing a hell of a lot of content writing. There's also going to be Follow the Rabbit marketing plan, which basically follow the rabbit and it helps you discover the product while also trying to find those little Easter eggs. And you find all the Easter eggs, and then you'll ultimately get the reward, which is 5 million VAB tokens. Next question is, when will people be able to pay with Fiat via credit card or PayPal and so on? That is not going to come until at least 2024. The reason that's not going to come is down to custodial issues. What you don't want to do as a DAO is be a custodial of people's funds. So that's what essentially a DAO is. I mean, if we're a custodial, we're not a DAO. That means we're a centralized service offering a centralized route to host people's funds and take payments. We have a couple of people in mind, and we have spoken to different people who will become custodials of our service, but we haven't put a lot of focus on that. Right now, we're focusing on Web3 product, Web3 content, Web3 people. And then when we start rolling it out to, outside of Web3, then we'll start talking about fiat on-ramps. So the next question is, the initial staking pool has 50 million VAB and will release 4.5 million VAB in the first year. What are the plans to fill it up again? The way we have structured the DAO is every time a proposal is created, the money it costs to create a proposal goes directly back to the DAO. So in an ideal world, that is self-fulfilling. However, we've set up the treasury so it unlocks 50 mil VAB every 6 months. So we'll say in a year from now, we need to replenish the pool. We'll have 50 mil VAB unlocked that we can use some of and relock again, or use all of and wait for the next 50 mil to unlock. Or if we don't need it, we just relock it again. Next question, will Vabble be available in all countries? If no, in which countries? So we got our US legal opinion to launch in the US. US is obviously one of those countries where you want to release the product. And as of right now, that is up in the air given the current situations with the SEC. But that doesn't stop our US legal opinion being used for other means such as exchange listings and so on. Obviously, we're not going to release in sanctioned countries, but globally, we're really concentrating on the Asian market and the European market, and the American market will come, of course. But given the freedoms that we have within Europe, and all the work we did with GDPR to make sure that we're going to be able to launch in Europe and meet the GDPR standards, Europe is a very, very important market to us, especially in the regions of France, Belgium, and areas like that. Next question is, will VAB token be listed on exchanges? Yes, it will. We're actively looking to list on a particular exchange, and not for the reasons for most community members expect. Projects are treated, you list an exchange to pump and make whatever that mindset is. We specifically picked one particular exchange. One, for the reason that they actually reached out to us, which is great because we did have them in mind already. But the second thing is their demographic, and their demographic that they have, and Vab token lists on that exchange, and exposes the Vab token and ultimately the Vabble products to those people, and those people are our key demographic. So yes, we are looking to list on exchanges. When that'll happen, we don't know. That's not how it works. We don't decide, hey, we're going to list tomorrow. When you're listing on an exchange as a truly decentralized token, then you need to do certain processes in order for that to happen, especially around the decentralization part. That means, making sure that the token is fully decentralized. That's why we rolled out new tokenomic structures. Having commits in GitHub from people that are not incentivized by the team or the company in a truly decentralized manner. So there's a lot of moving parts to listing on certain exchanges, but we're well on our way to meeting the standards. And for us and the product launch, we're hoping it's sooner rather than later. But again, that is not something that we can decide on. Next question. In the past, there was talk about a Vabble app. What's the plan? Yes, there certainly will be a Vabble app. We've focused on desktop web for this initial beta, given that the demographic of Web3, a lot of people are on their PC. It also gave us a bit of flexibility and a bit of easier implementation of certain features on the streaming service like CoWatch. So when we have a bigger budget, when we have a bigger development budget and we see users rolling in that validates building an app, then we'll move on to building an app. When video content, I know you're waiting on the full launch, but any info? Yep. Again, like I said at the start of this, there's a lot of people that we've been talking to. We've curated a list of people, and a lot of those people are content creators, filmmakers, and so on. So when they get access to this platform, we're going to guide them through it. We're going to consult them on how to use it to the best of, use the platform to get the best out of it. And a lot of those people will be bringing content with them. The question is, I would love to know about the marketing and growth strategy you have in place. The ultimate vision for Vabble is to be a global product, which includes not just Web3 users, but Web2 users. And a part of that growth strategy is building in Web3 first, building up content from Web3 based IP, getting that distributed, proving those models. Now, they've already been proven in certain cases, but we want to reprove that and build up the content library in Web3. So then that we have a sufficient entertainment factor to validate rolling out into Web 2. So Web 3 is our strategy to onboard Web 2. Very good question here is, what is the user engagement vision? User engagement vision for us, strictly speaking from the streaming service perspective, is about intimacy. And what I mean by intimacy is, we wanted to create an environment where, it acts socially, where I can have my friends on there and we can DM and we can go on video calls. But if we take an example, for instance, I've invested in Doodles and my friend has invested in Doodles, and we just happen to meet in the Doodles community and we're loving the content they're producing. And we'll just say the Doodles film gets released on Vabble. Well, me and my friend can watch it together on video call or text-based chat and enjoy the content in real time with each other around something that we bonded over and love. And that's what I mean by intimacy. It's creating this environment where, if you currently look at streaming services, it's a very one-way service. If you're watching on your own, if you live at home on your own, if you don't have family, or or it's an IRL intimate experience where you Netflix and chill. We wanted to create an intimate experience in a digital environment, and a lot of people that we consider friends are millions or thousands of miles away from each other. And we wanted to create an experience where those friends who are thousands of miles away from each other can enjoy the content together that they initially clicked over. So if we're talking about user engagement, users will come back to the streaming service for that intimate relationship building based around content that they both share an interest in. Another question is, what in the world does today's microcosmic of Film 3 and other silo movements like this mean to Vabble? It means a lot to Vabble, and it means a lot to us. I mean, in order to have a global effect with what we're building, there has to be micro movements. It can't be just one big movement. At some point, they'll converge and become one big movement. But right now, we're seeing little micro movements of different things in Web3, specifically around content creation. We're seeing, the rise of NFTs, and now we're seeing the development of content based on the NFT, based on the rise of those NFTs. And you have all these little micro movements happening, and at some point, they're going to converge. And our bet, and why we built what we've built, our bet is that they converge on content creation, whether it be films, series, shorts, whatever that content creation is. So what do we think of those little microcosm movements? We love them because eventually they're going to be one big movement. So a big question here is, and I'm going to have to read this one. The SEC considers some of cryptocurrencies to be securities, especially when used to raise funds. In the early days of Vabble, the VAB token was used to secure funding, but in the end, it will be a utility token. What are the plans for VAB not to be considered as a security? That's a really tough question. And when we raised funds via the VAB token, it was not an investment vehicle. The pitch was simple. We're creating this token to be this utility. And although that utility is only now coming to light in terms of being able to use it as a utility token, it doesn't change the fact that the initial sale of that token was based on the utility it was going to have. And that is the entire basis of our US legal opinion. It was never sold as an investment vehicle. There was never any promises of returns. And that was not the intent in any case by anyone on the team. It was strictly a pre-sale to a token that it gives you utility for the Vabble ecosystem. And that hasn't changed. That's the exact same it is today. And we're finally reaching that vision for the token itself. But also a big part of that is that we've decentralized the token. So when you decentralize something, it can be less, it can't be viewed so much as a security anymore. And that's what we've focused on, is decentralization and providing utility. And even since we initially pitched Vabble to raise funds, we've increased the utility behind the token. Another question is, what's the future vision for Vabble as a whole? When myself and the team first got together, well, myself and Mud, when we first got together, the initial plan was simple. Develop a product that provides a real world example of utility to everybody. Not in these little microcosms of the world, not in the financial sector. What can we build that provides the ultimate utility of a cryptocurrency to everybody, a real use case? And everybody enjoys content every single day. Millions upon millions of people use the web to watch content. It only made sense that we use content to bring a real world use case to a cryptocurrency. And that's what we're doing. And then from that point, the idea of the product, although I had been building it for so long, I've been building it since 2014 in different, niche markets. It's when we finally saw the true vision, and the true vision really connected with three particular things. The first thing is Co-Watch. Where I see Co-Watch going, the way we build Co-Watch today is strictly a training tool to train consumers into a digital environment to watch content together. That's all it is. Ultimately, I see Co-Watch developing into AR technology, so augmented reality, where I'm sitting at my couch. I'm sitting on my couch at home, and my friend is in Germany on his couch at home, and we put on our augmented glasses, and he is augmented into my, sitting room, and I'm augmented into his sitting room, and we watch content together in real time in our personal environments. That's where I really see co-watch going. I don't believe it's going to be in the metaverse, and that's why we didn't bet on the metaverse. We're taking a step beyond metaverse and looking at augmented. Now, augmented technology has to come a long way for that to happen yet, and we're not at that point in development either in the Vabble ecosystem. But that is our ultimate vision for the streaming service, is an augmented reality viewing experience. And then when we look at the streaming service, or not the streaming service, when we look at the DAO rather, what we want to see there is the decentralization of film financing. So a global liquidity. So filmmakers have access to global liquidity, and they're offering to that global liquidity real world returns for helping support the production of film. We're decentralizing that ownership of the film. We're decentralizing the ownership of the film, but we're also decentralizing the financing of it and opening the door to millions of fan bases around the world to get involved in film financing. And then finally is the distribution side, allowing or decentralizing the distribution aspect of films, allowing it up to the global community to pick what films are shown on streaming services, and so on and so forth. So, there's a bigger vision to Vabble, not just what we are releasing as a beta. And we're going to be here in 10 years' time still fulfilling that vision. It's not going to happen overnight. And, that's what wakes us up every day and keeps us driving, because we know what the ultimate vision is. And we can't wait to evolve beyond what we've built now and just keep building and innovating in Web3. And, it's thanks to Web3 that we're able to do this in a truly democratized manner. So thank you for all your questions. And I'm going to do this a lot more frequently over the coming weeks and months. So if you have questions, post them in our Discord under Town Hall Questions, and I'll answer them in video-based format every couple of weeks. Thank you for sticking around, and this is just the beginning.